Dents and scratches putting a dent in your day? Introducing Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide, your trusted solution for automotive woes. With over 2 decades of expertise, Roger Steen Crash Repairs guarantees top-notch service, restoring your vehicle to its former glory in no time. From minor dings to major collisions, our skilled technicians handle it all with precision and care, using state-of-the-art equipment and techniques.
Roger Steen Crash Repairs saved my car. It looks brand new.
Fast, friendly and reliable. I wouldn't trust anyone else with my vehicle. Don't let accidents slow you down. Visit Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide at 14 Penner Avenue, Glynde for quality service you can count on. And here's a special offer just for our listeners. Mention this podcast and receive a $100 discount on your repair. Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide. Excellence in every repair.
Past players, past legends, past legends.
You're too tired to do. I think because it was, I was already 30 by the time I went to the WNBA. So maybe if I was 20.
20, yeah. I reckon you would have been amongst the votes, Rachel. Yeah.
I had to ask.
So it was, but it was just a wonderful experience. And I feel very, grateful that I got to do that.
And then obviously coming back to Adelaide Lightning. And then moving on to Sydney, and then, like you said, Athens, and you did speak about Jan Sterling there and being a very vital cog of that. But, obviously you're a little bit older, a little bit wiser. What are some of the takeaways from that experience, obviously being the elder statesman of the team? Yeah, that was the generation gap was happening, that's for sure. I think I was nearly closer in age to Jan than my next teammate. Because I played through till I was 36, and most of my teammates were in their 20s by that point, because everyone else was retiring around me. But I think Jan was great there too, because she, as you got older, she would let you have an extra day off or an extra session off, because she knows that we're doing the work away from the program, but to also rest our bodies a little bit. So that was really appreciated, and I guess you do get wiser as you get older, and you just rely on your basketball IQ and everything, and then you're just hoping that you're helping the young ones come through as well. I think that was, as you get older, I think that's one of the great pleasures is, having the rookies that come into the team and being their mentors.
How different was Sydney, though, as an experience compared to the other Olympics, Rach?
Well, the best thing is that your family can afford to come. So I had, mum, dad, all my siblings, so many friends and family. So having that support in the stadium was amazing, and just being able to see them in your days off. So that was huge. Everyone was in such a great mood in Sydney. I can't wait for Brisbane and people to experience it again. And just the home court advantage. We played in the Dome and then the Superdome, and just selling out and in front of such parochial crowds, you just can't beat that. And just the support that fellow Aussie athletes give to each other too. I think we do that so well compared to other nations. So, I love how Laurie Lawrence was gate crashing everything with athletes. I know they didn't let that happen in Rio. I think they nearly got arrested for getting in without tickets, but they were the good old days when you could do that. The security wasn't quite as strict. So, amazing
I
memories.
can give you a couple there. One of my best mates, Danny Hansen, found a media pass in a bin outside the MCG. No. He used it for everything. So this was about 3 years before the Olympics. So he used it every grand final. Anyone, he'd just get, say the grand final starting at 3, he'd walk in with a clipboard, 1 minute to go, and that, rush in. Opening ceremony, closing ceremony, Kathy Freeman's 400.
No way.
Basketball. And at that stage, another uni mate, David Gordon, was going out with Alison Peake. And so Gordo put Danny Hansen and Brett Dutchkin, a few of the boys' names, down on the door. So not only did he not pay for anything all week, go to every event virtually, he didn't pay for a drink either. It's just ridiculous.
Wow, that was very fortuitous. And
Oh, don't worry.
made the most of it.
Involved with uni guys, they could manage to drink 8 days a week with having no money. Yeah, they're pretty incredible in a lot of ways. So, Rach, and then, so basketball, in terms of going on, and then the next Olympics, just go through and then coming towards and deciding what else you were then going to do, etc.
Yeah, so after Sydney, I got pregnant with my daughter Taya.
Yeah.
So I missed the 2002 World Cup, but had Taya and was determined to get back for Athens. So, yeah, worked my butt off. I was probably the fittest I'd ever been for Athens, actually. And I was very lucky that I had an amazing support network so that I could still train and play. Taya was away from her for 3 weeks when she was 1. And then, obviously the Olympic Games, I was away for 5 weeks. So I had my in-laws and my own mum and family looking after Taya. So, yeah, so Athens was different for me. I think I was much more relaxed because I was a mum. I was coming off the bench. My role was different. So I was probably in some ways the least stressful of my 3 Olympic Games, because the Olympics as an athlete is the pinnacle of your sport, but God, it's very stressful, the pressure. So as much as it's amazing and so great to be part of, it's also a relief when it's over. But I didn't really feel that in Athens. I didn't feel that pressure. So yeah, I just loved our campaign. Obviously we won silver. Yeah, and then it was, I wanted to have another baby, so I had my son in 2006, and yeah, and then just I guess along the way doing different roles, and the most rewarding I had was working for the Australian Melanoma.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, for 6 years, and because my grandma died from melanoma, and I basically wanted to educate my children better than mum and dad knew to educate me, because obviously growing up in the Mallee, we just tried to get burnt, so we'd go brown, peeled so many times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And and we all did that in our generation because we didn't know any better, and so that was very rewarding. But I guess I always keep coming back to sport. So then I worked for ASADA, Australian Sports Anti-Doping Authority, for 3 years as a clean sport educator, which I loved. And then I worked for Olympics Unleashed, which was going out to schools and sharing your Olympic journey. And yeah, and then obviously the port job came up. So I had to change allegiance because I had been a Crows ambassador for 21 years.
Yeah, that's
and,
right. I couldn't have done that.
Port.
Yeah, you've gone to the dark side. Jeez, Lord Voldemort. Yes. So
Just backing track a little bit there, ASADA. What obviously your role there and some of the intricacies that maybe not the average person would know about, because they are quite strict when it comes to a lot of these things, but a lot of people don't know. Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, and I guess I wasn't the person watching them do a wee.
No.
Me. No. So it is an amazing world, and even as an athlete, I thought that I knew a lot about anti-doping, but there's so much more that you do need to know, and that's why they educate the athletes now. So I would travel all over Australia, present the hockey roos and the kookaburras, the 7 rugby, and it was just rowing, swimming, all the different sports. So I loved that I got to do that, and I was still around the elite sporting environment. And I guess what's changed now is that because of social media and internet match fixing, betting, all that has to be talked about now. Because they will groom you.
Spot betting, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't, you just don't know that you're being played. And so it's just really making sure that the athletes are educated and also, and you just see, and it's basically really about them not taking a banned substance in a supplement. That's the biggest one, because that's what breaks ASADA's heart, is when an athlete with no intention to cheat, took a supplement. They didn't know it had a banned substance because they're not well regulated, so they can put anything in there and it's not on the label. So that's where you're just wanting to make people accountable and realise whatever you put in your body, you're responsible for, and you can't blame anyone else.
I suppose that's where I was alluding to. Well, was there a little bit of a list or no goes for certain foods and drinks and so on and so on,
absolutely.
and
Yeah,
that they had to look out for.
Yeah, there's an ASADA app. They're actually known as SIA now, Sport Integrity Australia. So there's an app. So if you take a supplement, you want to make sure it's batch tested, and you can look it up to see whether it is. And if it isn't, then you just don't take it. And at least with medicines or medications, they're well regulated. So, but obviously you can't take a cold and flu tablet with pseudoephedrine in it in competition. So these are things that, now I can do that. I couldn't before.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, a lot of people wouldn't know that, just that aren't an elite athlete. I thought, wow, they can't take that. So yeah, it's just you have to keep very basic to what you can put into your body when you're an athlete.
Is it also a case of getting your own drinks and, not leaving it to chance? I'm trying to break it down into its simplest form, but, you might be out on a night out with friends and, you might want to have one or two bevies, and you really want to make sure that what you're getting is what you're getting.
Oh, absolutely. You have to be, really on your guard and alert. And like the elite athletes, when they travel and they stay in hotels, they will put their toothbrush in the safe so that no one can tamper with their toothbrush. That's how careful they are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look, I can remember in that regard, as I said, I mentioned Alison Peake before, when Peaky first got she would watch the person pouring a drink and watch like a hawk. And then he's got to know a bit more rule book. Can you watch? Do not take your eyes off. Concentrate something like chronic with my drink. And, yeah, so Alison was – and that was every drink. She never relaxed once in that way. And,
no,
things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really careful. And, yeah, and look, it's changed so much because when we had to ring a hotline. You couldn't look on an app. You had to ring.
Yeah.
If you wanted to check if you could take something, you had to ring phone and call. And then they have what's called a whereabouts now, and you had to put on a piece of paper where you were going to be every day in case they come to test you. So things been made so much easier online. So it's a really good process now.
So rocking up at all hours of the day and night is common practice.
Can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. 6 a.m. in the morning, come to your home.
Wow.
Yep, absolutely. The element of surprise is what they want.
Of course.
Okay, Rach, so some individual awards. Australian Basketball Hall of Fame, OAM, Australian Sport Hall of Fame. Go through, when you found out originally and just the sort, wow, and go through the experience for us.
Yeah, so I guess 2007 was for the Basketball Australia Hall of Fame. I'd been retired for 3 years, so that was the way that you could be eligible. You had to be retired for that period of time. So yeah, that meant a lot. Because being an Opal for me was such a privilege, and my God, it gave me an incredible life. I got to see the world. And then the OAM, that was 2015, and look, that was very unexpected. When you see, I don't know, it's hard when you're a sporting person because you have OAMs like people who are saving lives and researching and, and it's like, oh God, do I deserve to be there? And so I think that was very humbling for me. And, that's very, very, very dear to my heart.
Fred Block, obviously, Fred Block's my hero, the late Fred Block. And, he was really embarrassed by it. And, sort of going, what's going on me, sort of thing. And, But
I think,
humbling. And I think as you get older, then, I think you probably looking up, just appreciate it. You're not going, oh, shit, I deserve that. No, you're just going, geez, I actually appreciate that. And it's a reward and it's something for the family to enjoy and all that as well, etc.
Yeah, for sure. And I think as athletes, we always look at ways that we have given back over the journey, and it's not all about what you've done for your, on the actual court or the whatever of playing basketball. It's what you've done in the community. I see as being the most important.
Yes.
And so for that, I'm very proud.
Look, that's one thing, Rachel. You ever contacted Rachel? Sports night, I ran a while back now, and ironic, a few other people who've been on the show before, and Flipper compared it, and there was Rick Nagel and Bix and Rowie. So, and it was quite funny because the photo, it's the six of us together, and ironically, Rachel is easily the tallest. So it looks quite funny with five guys and then the six.
I'm going to chime in here and say the best looking as well, because there's no doubt about that.
I totally agree with that as well, mate. Yeah. Now, Rach, one thing, so you're now involved back with footy, and women's football is easily the fastest growing sport in the nation, and by a long way. And look, it's saving community clubs, country clubs. All of a sudden, girls' side guys hang around, vice versa. We know how important that is, and at community level, they keep growing and growing. Like I think Payneham have got 3 sides now. I think Morpheville Park are 4, and things like that. But what's the impact? Where are women's basketball and netball, the traditional sports, their numbers at? And I think Scholes from Port Adelaide is one where he's a classic example where maybe you might be involved there as well, because she is an Australian netballer as well. So surely there's a decision to come there and things like that. So how are the other sports coping with the competition factor virtually for their talent now?
Yeah, I don't know if it's draining as much as it was. I think when AFLW first started, they were getting players from any other code. You just had to be athletic. They were trying beach volleyball, soccer, every sport. But now you have to come through the junior ranks to make it at AFLW level, which is as it should be. So I don't think they're draining the sports as much. But it's hard to compete. The other sports will find it hard to compete because it gets so much publicity. It's the young girls are seeing it. They're seeing that they can make a living from it. They hope to be professional by 2027. Yeah. So, and it is. Look, I grew up absolutely loving football, and I would have loved to have played.
Yeah.
Kieran is an older brother. I used to kick the footy all the time, but I never saw. I didn't even know that. Women were playing it in the city, but at a much, smaller level, and there was state footy back in the day. But yeah, I guess for me, I'm just rapt that there is another pathway for girls to go into a national competition.
Yep.
Because that's what you want. It's more physical activity, it's more opportunity to be involved in a team sport, and to be a lead athlete. So I'm very envious from a basketball point of view of the resources they have.
Yep.
Coming. Yeah. From basketball to football, it's like, wow, I wish our sport had this. But because it's for women, I love it. I love that it is exploding, and we're having more facilities and conditions are better, and that's all changing. So in that sense, it's been great.
I think it's fantastic. And look, we acknowledge that it started the wrong way round, that it started at the top and then worked down. And of course, ideally at the bottom, but it had to go that way to pike the interest, and it's just incredible. Honestly, the problem now is the lack of grounds and lack of change rooms.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not the numbers. Right. It's quite incredible that male teams are folding and female teams are beginning.
Yeah, that's right. That's so true.
It's a crazy stat, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess we're all appreciative of that because, it wasn't meant to start till 2020. And thankfully, if they'd done that, it would have been COVID, so it wouldn't have got off the ground.
Yeah.
So thankfully, 2017, it did happen, and Erin Phillips, we got to see Erin play at her peak, and we wouldn't have wanted to be robbed of that because that was just,
Don't worry, I'm showing my age, Rachel. I saw Erin play as a junior, and John Cale makes the point. She's the best junior. He coached.
Male or female.
Yeah, he coached. And those of us who saw Erin play back then couldn't agree more.
Yeah, no, she was born to
play football, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was just a natural game, and I think whatever Erin would have put her mind to, she would have been a champion at it. Basketball she did. I'm sure she would have played netball or whatever. She would have been the same. And to see her professionalism, obviously I played with her when she was 17 at Lightning, and I was 34. I was double her age. and I played with her for 2 years, and I was amazed at her professionalism back then. She was asking so many questions, and then to see over the journey and then come back to football, what, her body, she just looks after her body so well. She's her best coach because she does the work away from the program. She knows what she has to do, and her commitment and diligence was amazing.
I know I'm involved with Nord, and with the Crows were playing the girls' team at Nord, and Erin had a fitness test on the Saturday morning, and it was my job to find out whether she'd passed the fitness test, and which found out she had. I then had to ring every radio station, email them, text in on numerous names to let people know that Erin was playing today, because we worked it out that it was worth at least an extra 1,000 people and about $3,000 to $5,000 in merchandise and food and drink sales if Erin was playing.
Yeah, well, that sounds like her final game
Yeah.
for Ford at Alberton round 10 last year. It was amazing. It was so good, and we won. It was a perfect send off. She kicked 2 goals.
Yeah,
I was like, well, there you go. That's serendipity for you. It was amazing.
Talking about a sliding doors moment, I mean, here we are talking football with a basketball. Your transition.
Oh, there's always a football.
Of course.
There's always a football in a spawn. Yes.
Obviously, you would never have dreamed that you'd be involved with football post your basketball career, and now being at Port Adelaide sounds like it's a nice fit.
Yeah, look, it is, and it's so true, because if you'd asked me even 4 years ago that I'd be at an AFLW club, I'd be like, really? So and also at Port, it's like wow. But I feel like I've been supporting Port for a long time. They're a great club. I love their culture, and it's been just fantastic. And obviously, except when I first started, they went in 2022. They lost their first 5 games, and it was not great being around the club, because everyone was like, "Oh God, keep my head down," and on tenterhooks. So it was so wonderful experiencing last year when they won 13 in a row. It's like, oh, how good is this?
Come on. You're going a bit overboard here, Rach. Come on. No need for that.
Pull it back.
Rach, I do remember you with the melanoma, and I admit I was trying to think. I knew there was a link, because I do remember your passion and talking to you at various times with that, and I knew you had a massive passion for melanoma. So you've expanded that now. So for that and all that now. The other thing Rach was always known for, one of the best tellers of jokes. And it is after 9 p.m, so a lot of the jokes now that we would qualify for, Rach.
I don't
but
do that anymore.
Yeah, you were brilliant. No, you were brilliant though, Rach. Yes, and that. So yes. Now, Rach, let's go through then. Yeah, back on the serious part. You would have been worried if I hadn't had dropped a sledge in that way, Rach. The highlight. If you've got to pick out of all the ridiculous number of things you've achieved, let's go 2 highlights, and then your hardest opponents and best teammates played with as well.
Okay, so I can never go past the double overtime win in 1994, our first premiership, Clipsal Powerhouse against our main rivals, Melbourne Tigers. We were just exhausted, and thank God we won, because we've been so shattered. And that's my favourite WNBL win, I guess, of all time. And I think with the Opals, I'm actually going to go for obviously if the Olympics is obvious, I'm not going there.
Yep.
It was Oz 94. We played our preliminary rounds in Adelaide before we headed to Sydney, and it was so great they were in Adelaide, because so many people from Murrayville came down to watch. And anyway, we won our first game against Japan. We got belted by China by 20 in our second game, and we had to beat Italy by 13 points to advance to the top 8. If we didn't advance the top 8, it was going to be a financial disaster for Basketball Australia. And the pressure, I remember the pressure was insane, but we're up by 14 at halftime. We ended up winning by 21. And it was just the most amazing feeling. I'll never forget that. And, we went on to Sydney and we nearly made the gold medal game. We lost to China by 1 and we lost to USA by 5 to win a bronze. But I don't know, there was a little bit of changing of the guard, and we haven't lost our top 4 ranking since 1994. So I think, that was sort of just the change of us being a world force and remaining there. So yeah, that's probably the highlight. So most difficult opponent, definitely Zhong Hai from China, 6'9", weighed 120 kilos, so 50 more kilos than me.
Yeah, wow.
And it was exhausting guarding her. We were the same age. I was the tallest in the Australian team at the time, so I always had to guard her. But yeah, respected her tremendously. And of course, I have to put Lauren Jackson in there as well. Yeah. Lisa Leslie from USA was exceptionally tough as well over my career, because we played USA so many times.
Yep.
And yep, just amazing. Really pretty great to, I guess. I think what I love with basketball is that you have the opportunity to play WNBL. You have your Lightning team, and then you have your opponents, and then coming to play for Australia, you play with your opponents who become your teammates, who become your lifelong friends. And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. All right, we'll get you out here on this one. There's no bigger honour in any sport to have your number retired in 2007. Let's just talk about that briefly, your feelings on that, and obviously it then being unretired in 2023.
Yeah, look, that was an honour when Lightning offered to do that, and it is a beautiful tradition that basketball do. But then it just came about late last year, that Jenny Borlase, who I know very well, Izzy Borlase's mum, she said, Izzy's not happy with you because she can't wear number 14 because it's retired, because it was her number and she wore 5 for Lightning. And I went away with that, and I thought it got me thinking, and it's like, you're right. No one can wear 14. That's been her number. She's going to be a superstar. I've known her since a junior. I've watched her come through Forestville, and I would actually love to see number 14 running out in a Lightning uniform again.
Yeah.
So we ran it by Izzy to make sure she was comfortable with it too, and it was a really lovely moment when we did the presentation of the singlet, and and we're just seeing what a superstar she is. She's went to the pre-Olympic tournament, and she got presented with number 20 over there because Mariana Tolo's got number 14. But she has no fear. She's so composed beyond her years. She's 19, and she's going to be Opal for the next 16 years. She's just so talented, and so
she's got fair breeding too.
It was something that I didn't take lightly. I discussed with quite a few friends and family. I think I'm going to do this, and I do not regret it at all.
Hey, Rachel, privileged to have you on the show.
Absolutely. This has been one interview that I've been really looking forward to.
Yeah, basketball royalty. I know it's the cliche, but you truly get it. You get in terms of always helping people. Phone call to you and you're on board within 30 seconds, and always greatly appreciated. And, look forward to catching up too. Thanks, Rach.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for the great chat, and love that you love women's sport. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Sports fanatics in general, Rach.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rachel.
Okay, see ya.
We thank Rachel once again for her time last week in telling us not only about her starting, in country, and then obviously working her way through the basketball system, but ending up in the US and experiencing all of that was just fantastic. And like you said, Rachel gets it. Yeah,
she does. As I said, charity show, you've only got to ask Rach, and bang, she's aboard. She's a ripper. Also, her champion herself, but you can hear in her voice her awe about Lauren Jackson as well. So privileged to have Rach on board.
Absolutely a fantastic interview that I was looking forward to basically all week when we knew that we had her secured, and thank her once again.